We are not stopping. We are not stopping. We are going to the second one now, which is going to be 3.2. So we're going to write exactly that, guy. So 3.2, what do you have for us? We want to know you. We want to go for you, buddy. What do you have for us? How many subtopics does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 subtopics in this guy. We know there are 5 in the first one. There are 4 in the second one. So what is 3.2, by the way? This is paper 3, topic 2, okay? And that is, what is it about? It's about logarithmic functions and exponential functions. So we're going to write logarithmic and exponential functions. That's the heading they've put for us. So we are only looking at these 2 types of functions, okay? And exponential functions. So in the first one, we were looking at modulus functions. Now we are looking at logarithmic and exponential functions, okay? Isn't this nice? So it's all about functions. This first 2, all about functions, right? Remember that it was part of functions was like 3.1.1. It was part of your algebra. Your algebra, we looked at more than that. We looked at more than just modulus functions. But yes, we did look at modulus functions. Now we are looking at logarithmic and exponential functions. What exactly are we looking at? So let's start with 3.1.1. It says understand the relationship between logarithmic and between logarithms and indices, and use the laws of logarithms. So what are we going to write here? We can say number 1, we'll do laws of logarithms. So you can say laws of logarithms. That's the first thing. We'll do laws of logarithms and relationship between logarithms, so logs and exponents. They didn't say functions, they just say between logarithms and exponents. So we would see, how do we come from exponential form to logarithmic form, and from logarithmic to exponential, and what are some special things, what are some special cases of logs? Okay, so here these are just the relationship. We're going to go through that relationship and we'll see what is the relationship between exponential things and logarithmic, because indices is just another word for exponents. So they are called in plural, we call them exponents, or we call them indices, or we call them powers. Okay, so it's the powers. When it's 1, it's an exponent or an index or a power. Okay, when it's 1. And we know that when we are dealing with them as functions, the guy who will be the power is the x. So when we say exponential function, the power is the x. Basic, like that. Logarithmic function, we are taking log of x. Basically, well, the log may be base e, which means ln, so ln x, or e to the x, whatever we talk about. And that's actually what we do as the second, because the second says understand the definition and properties of 2 guys, e to the x and ln x, including their relationship as inverse and their graphs. So in here, we are going to look at e to the x and ln x. This is going to be the second thing, okay? So what are we looking at especially? We look at e to the x and ln x, and what do we look at? We look at the definition. We look at the definition of each of them. We look at the properties, okay? We look at their properties, and we look at their connection or their relationship, and finally, we'll look at their graphs. So we'll look at their graphs. So we look at the definition of each, we'll look at their properties, we'll look at the relationship between the 2, and we'll look at their graphs. E to the x and ln x. These are the guys who are going to focus on the second. So this is actually 3.2.1. I'm sorry. My gosh. This is 3.2.1. Then this now becomes 3.2.2 because we are looking at 3.2, which is logarithmic and exponential functions. So this is going to be just 3.2. Okay, so yes, this was 3.2.1. And in here, this is just 3.2. Okay, no problem. So now we are going to 3.2.3. So 3.2, paper 3, topic 2, subtopic number 3. Because there are 4. We are now at subtopic number 3, which says use logarithms to solve equations and inequalities. Okay, so we are saying here, using logarithms using logarithms to solve equations and inequalities. We are going to see how we work with these using logarithms to solve equations and inequalities. Yes, and you actually end up seeing some type of equation that we will call a logarithmic equation. There is an equation which we introduce a log, and there is an equation where the log is already. We'll talk about it. But let's go to 3.2.4, which is the last thing. What is that? And here they're saying use logarithms to transform. So these are called logarithmic transformations, okay? Logarithmic, you can call it logarithmic transformations, or we can say linear modeling by logarithmic transformations. So we are going to use logarithmic transformations to model something to linear form, okay? Okay, logarithmic transformations. Okay, and they say it's to model to linear form. So it's and whatever, determining the unknown, whatever these things. So yes, it's linear modeling. We are linear modeling. We are converting something to linear form. Okay, by logarithmic transformation. So we must know this. We must know the laws of logarithms and the relationship between this. It's not going to be hard. We can do it in no time. Then we are going to go through e to the x and ln x. You want to understand these guys. They are graphs, the different types of graphs, whatever. Then we are going to use logarithms to solve equations and inequalities. That's a common one. That's a very common one. Solving. Then finally, we are going to see logarithmic transformations, where we are going to convert, okay, a relationship to linear form. It may not be in linear form, whatever, something like this we convert to this form, and we have this which will convert to this form. We're going to see the forms and what it converts to. Now, and when we're done with that, we'll say, well done. Well done to you, because you'd be a warrior. You would have gone through it. So that is going to be our topic number 2 with those 4 subtopics. We're going to go through it. We have to master it. That is it. Goodbye for now. See you in the videos where we start attacking it now.